It was the final week of December. A sharp wind blew off the ridges. On the first night, the howl came just past midnight. A long, soul-rattling wail that echoed through the valley. Old men crossed themselves. Dogs hid. Owls stopped hooting. The next morning, the townsfolk found John Mason, the local lumberjack, torn apart near the edge of the forest. His body was shredded, claw marks raked down his chest, neck torn wide open, eyes frozen in terror. No tracks, just crushed underbrush and a sickening stench of sulfur. Some said a bear did it. Others whispered the stories were true. Reverend Elijah Burns, the town's oldest man and keeper of the chapel, called a meeting. "This ain't no mountain lion," he said. "This is what our fathers warned us about. The thing in the hollow has woken up." According to Elijah, a century-old legend spoke of a cursed soul, twisted by witchcraft and grief, buried deep in the forest. It had risen once before during the Great Depression, killing 13 townsfolk before a preacher and a native elder sealed it beneath the hills with scripture, fire, and salt. Now, something had stirred it. 3 days later, 2 teenage brothers, Ryan and Sam Wilson, snuck out at night to visit the spot where John had died. They never came back. The next day, they found Sam hanging from a pine tree, his skin flayed in ribbons. Ryan was never found. On the ground below, a massive humanoid footprint with claws, and over 2 feet long. That night, the howling returned, closer, angrier, the 5th victim. Panic spread like wildfire. Kids screamed at shadows. Grown men wouldn't leave home without a shotgun. Women lit candles and taped crosses above every window. Then it took Lindsay Grant, a young mother. Her infant was found crying by the road under a street lamp, untouched. Lindsay's body lay in the creek, limbs bent unnaturally, heart missing, eyes glassy with terror. No one doubted it anymore. There was a monster in Black Hollow. The creature revealed. Only one person claimed to see it and live, Pastor Michael Dean. He was locking the church late one night when he saw a figure crouched behind the graveyard fence. 7 feet tall, skin like scorched leather, eyes glowing red, needle teeth, arms dragging like a gorilla, and that smell, rotting flesh mixed with smoke. Dean collapsed in terror. When he awoke, he simply muttered, "It's not a beast, it's a punishment, and it knows us." Part 5, The Last Stand. Elijah gathered the town near the chapel. He said the creature could be sealed, like before, but only at the edge of the hollow, where the first killing happened. They would need fire, scripture, and a willing heart. 5 volunteers stepped forward. Among them, James Grant, Lindsay's heartbroken husband. They walked into the forest at sundown, carrying torches and holy verses. The townspeople watched from behind fences. Then came the howls. The fires vanished one by one. Screams followed, then silence. Only James returned, his leg torn, face blistered, voice shredded. He collapsed and whispered, "We tried, but it talked. It said, 'You stole my peace. Now I'll take yours. Forever.'" Part 6, The Curse of Black Hollow. Since that night, December is feared in Black Hollow. Every year, someone disappears. No traveler stays overnight. Children are taught to never step beyond the tree line. Sometimes, if you're quiet enough, you can hear the howls again, just as midnight strikes. Or worse, you might see 2 red eyes watching you from the trees. Some say it's a curse. Some say it's justice. But everyone agrees on one thing. The Howler still lives. And it's hungry. He came from the trees. 6 months had passed since James Grant returned, bloodied, half-dead and broken in soul, from the failed sealing ritual. The hollow was quiet, unnervingly so. No howls, no disappearances. But that peace was fake. The elders knew what the silence really meant. The monster was watching, waiting, feeding on fear. Then, on a fog-soaked morning in June, Ryan Wilson came back. A teenager appeared at the edge of town, barefoot and shaking, skin pale as bone. His name was Ryan Wilson, the brother believed dead, missing since December. But Ryan was different now. His eyes were wrong, sunken, glassy, almost reptilian. He didn't speak. His face was blank, emotionless. He moved strangely, like he didn't remember how to walk upright, and he reeked of wet dirt and smoke. The sheriff tried to approach him. Ryan just looked up and smiled, a slow, unnatural smile, and vanished back into the trees. That night, the howls came again. But this time, they came from inside the town. After Ryan's return, strange things began happening. A farmer woke up to find every one of his chickens mutilated, but the coop door still locked. A child was found sleepwalking in the woods, muttering Bible verses in reverse. The town's water tower began leaking black sludge, and James Grant, who hadn't spoken since the ritual, began screaming in his sleep, repeating the same words. He's not Ryan. He's wearing him. Pastor Michael Dean, once skeptical, now fully believed. He gathered a few brave souls and went looking for the boy in the forest. What they found chilled their blood. Animal bones arranged in spirals. Trees with bark peeled off in long claw-like strips. A dead fox, skinned and nailed to a cross made of antlers. And above it all, a symbol carved in fire, a spiral within a circle. The old native markings for soul theft. Dean declared, that creature never left. It just needed a new body. And Ryan invited it in. The townsfolk began seeing Ryan everywhere, perched on rooftops, standing in the cornfields at midnight, inside the church, watching. Whenever someone tried to speak to him, they'd go missing the next day. A hunter, a gas station clerk, the librarian. Sheriff Boone finally ordered a curfew. But even locked inside, people weren't safe. A retired war vet was found ripped in half inside his locked cabin. No windows broken. No door forced open. The only clue? The only clue? A single black clawed footprint in the fireplace ashes. In desperation, Pastor Dean and Elijah Burns reopened the old chapel cellar, the one built over the foundation of the 1930s sealing site. Hidden within the floorboards was a rusted tin box containing a silver dagger engraved with symbols, a torn page from an old Bible burnt at the edges, and a journal entry from the first preacher. The beast wears men like masks. To kill it, you must kill the vessel, but beware, it will scream in the boy's voice. The townsfolk gathered one last time. A new circle was formed at the old sawmill. Salt, holy water, fire. Pastor Dean brought the dagger. Elijah brought the book. But when they cornered Ryan near the river, the boy cried. He begged. "Please, it's me. Don't let it hurt me again." For a moment, they hesitated. That's when the Howler burst forth from Ryan's back, a partial form, skeletal wings, hollow eyes, claws like glass shards. Dean didn't hesitate again. He stabbed the dagger into Ryan's chest as the boy screamed, not in pain, but in fury. The scream became inhuman, and both Ryan and the creature collapsed into dust. Epilogue. What still watches? The forest has been quiet again, but no one celebrates. No one trusts the silence. At the edge of town, in the woods where the boy once walked back, trees now grow in spirals, unnaturally curved as if reaching toward the sky. The symbol, the spiral in the circle, keeps reappearing, etched on fences, burned into wood, carved into skin during sleep. And on the darkest nights, when the wind dies and even the crickets fall silent, the people of Black Hollow swear they can still hear it. A slow, dragging howl, somewhere deep beneath the earth. Evil doesn't die, it sinks, and waits. Reverend Elijah Burns. After the death of Ryan Wilson and the creature's partial destruction, Black Hollow tried to breathe again. For the first time in years, spring came without blood. The howls ceased. The children laughed. But the symbol kept reappearing, burned into barn doors, carved into livestock, even growing into the tree rings of newly cut wood. Pastor Dean had one final warning. We didn't kill it. We just closed its mouth, but the stomach is still growling. And then came the earthquake. One Sunday morning, the floor beneath Black Hollow's chapel collapsed. The altar dropped 10 feet into a dark, spiraling pit lined with stone. Thick roots protruded from the walls, moving slightly even without wind. Deputy Laura Hensley led the investigation. She and her team descended into the pit with flashlights. What they found was not a sinkhole, but an entrance. The stone was carved, ancient, marked with spirals and crude drawings of a creature eating men whole, then wearing their skins like suits. Far below, they found a black altar, and on it, James Grant's Bible, open to a page that had been ripped out months ago, now rewritten in ash and blood. Feed the root, or the root feeds itself. More tremors shook Black Hollow. The river dried overnight. The graveyard began to crack open. A child sleepwalked into the woods and was found whispering to a dead tree. And worst of all, people began seeing their loved ones return. But wrong. Sheriff Boone saw his dead wife sitting at the dining table, weeping blood. Pastor Dean saw Iqbal, except Iqbal had never lived in this town. Something was twisting memory, burrowing into the minds of the people. It was the Howler, now formless. A mind. Not a monster. Elijah Burns, dying from a stroke, summoned the town leaders. He revealed the last truth passed to him. The creature was not born in the 1800s. It was older than the town. A dark force summoned by the first settlers, a guardian turned punishment that demanded sacrifice every generation. It was buried, then starved, then awakened again. The only way to permanently end it was to burn the heart of the hollow. The black root, a monstrous tangle of flesh, wood and bone that lay beneath the altar chamber. But they would need someone pure of heart, someone bound to the creature, and someone willing to stay behind. A teenage girl stepped forward, Ava Grant, daughter of Lindsay and James. Ava, Pastor Dean, and Laura Hensley descended into the hole beneath the chapel, carrying salt, sacred symbols, and Ava's blood. tied by lineage to the last sacrifice. The tunnel became organic the deeper they went. Walls that pulsed like veins, whispering voices that sounded like their own. At the bottom, they found the blackroot, a living mass the size of a house, glowing faintly red, with human faces pushing against the bark. Suddenly, the Howler manifested, not as a beast, but as everyone they had lost. Lindsay, Ryan, Elijah, even James, each of them begging, "Don't kill us again. Let us stay." Ava didn't flinch. She raised the flask of holy oil and poured it onto the root, setting it ablaze with a silver matchstick. The Howler screamed, not in fear but in agony and rage, as fire swallowed its body and the walls began to cave.
Ava turned to Pastor Dean and Laura.
"Go. I'll stay." The tunnel collapsed in on itself. The hollow shook for days. No bodies were recovered, but after that week, no more howls, no more symbols, no more disappearances. The tree stopped growing in spirals. The river returned. And every December came quiet. The town honored Ava Grant with a statue outside the rebuilt chapel. Beneath it, her pendant. Behind it, a plaque. She sealed the hollow with fire, blood, and faith. 50 years later, children in Black Hollow still tell stories about the Howler. Most think it's a myth. But sometimes, in the basement of the chapel, the stone walls sweat. Sometimes, a voice calls out from beneath the floorboards. And if you walk the edge of the forest at dusk, you might still hear it, the slow, dragging breath of something not quite dead.